And my feet are totally soaked. That's all my pairs of shoes. I'm going to bag it all up. I'm going to go to work in 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours, or whatever it is. I can put them in the boiler room and get them dry and bring extra socks. And thanks to my daughter, M&M, who washed some of my clothes, some of my very stinky clothes. I felt human again today. Really appreciate all the support from my families, all my peoples. Don't go in the bathroom over here at Target for at least 20 minutes. Somebody had a disaster in there. Anyway, nice facility in there. It was worth driving over to Topsom. They got radio playing. It's brightly lit. There's 2 stalls and many urinals and no waiting. And it's very quiet and not many people use it. Compared to other public restrooms in the area, they're not so nice. Burger King, McDonald's are pretty, Anyway, I won't be alone tonight. I'll be at work, and I brought 4 of the Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches, and I can give 2 away to the co-workers. Right? I don't know who's coming in. I might be just me and one other person. It's not snowing yet, and it's, I don't know, 32 degrees right now. So it's gonna have to cool off the snow. It's kind of spitting a little bit, actually. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, got my heat going. Like I said, my feet are wet and all that. It was fun. Ross wanted me to find the Bearcat, but it's locked up over there at Public Works. It's the only place I can think of. If the Armory was still up over by the high school, it would be there, but they tore that down, and now it's a parking lot. And I still feel quite sick, bronchitis, whatever I got going on. And waking up after 2 hours sleep this morning was pretty horrible. My lungs hurt. And I love you guys. Thanks for watching, Willie. I don't know, you probably ended up living in your vehicle before. It ain't easy. It's amazing how much money you really need to get by, because every time you go to the store, you leave your vehicle running all the time. You use a lot of gas to stay warm, especially in January. Anyway, this has become a vlog, and just my people should see it. Yep, whatever happens, don't ever bother to call 911. Take care of it yourself. Flee the scene, do whatever you have to, but you can't trust road pirates who are unaccountable and won't give you any dash camera or body cam footage that's authentic. You never want to invite them to your house. for whatever reason. Suck it up, Buttercup. Is a lot better off. Anyway, I got a Synergy drink, the honey apple crisp that I like so much. And I bought a big thing of green tea yesterday. I noticed my urine's very yellow, so I'm not hydrating enough. And I gotta make sure I take my supplements so I can kick the cold's ass. Alright, I'm gonna go riding. And then I'm gonna go to work and jump in the snow equipment for hours and hours and hours and push snow around. Well, a lot of times they'll have us come in and it won't even be any snow on the ground. We'll just sit around the break room for a while until there's enough snow to scoop up into the bucket. Either way, it's a good deal. And all the pedestrians have walked away and back out. That's the one thing about the handicap spots. Everybody's got to walk behind you because you're up front. And I knew that long ago when I used to park as far away from the doorways as possible so I could jump back in my vehicle and drive away, and there wouldn't be any pedestrians, right? So I'm thinking this week we're going to have an opportunity to record some of the bridge demolition. I think they're going to move on to the main parts of the structure and start cutting the bridge apart. And that could be some newsworthy video, something to look forward to. That might be fun. Whoops, no headlights on. Whoopsies. That's alright, I didn't drive out in the road. Yeah, these aren't automatic on the Jeep. You gotta remember to have it all the way on. Market Basket, I've been in there in a while now. Around slowly and put some more fuel in so I have plenty, but I won't need any. Dallas is supposed to come tomorrow morning, and he said his people that are taking him, we got an appointment right there at, I forget what, maybe the optometrist or whatever it is there, the skin doctor or whatever, and he's going over, he'll go over and hang out with me at Rusty Lantern so we can just sit there and hang out. And I'll get to visit with Dallas. Always a good thing. Maybe we'll talk about Flat Earth and enjoy ourselves. Anyway, get him all riled up. The world, she's around. No, she's flat. Right? You ask Google, and it says lay down at sunset. And when the sun sets, stand up. And you see the sun set again. That means it's curved. Because if it was a flat disc and the sun went away, it would go down over the edge. Right? But you know, there's lots of other arguments that the world is flat. The Navy's railgun will shoot 20 miles, missing 6,000 feet of curvature or whatever, and it shoots dead flat. And the same with the charged particle beams and stuff like that. Oops, I mean those laser beam thingies. Right. Yeah, want to talk about any kind of military secrets. But yeah, the new Navy ship that I've seen pictures of, the railgun or the particle beam or laser or whatever it is massive, and it fits on top of the ship. It's the main weapon on it. And I guess it can, in 10 seconds, it can put a hole through an aircraft carrier. So pretty impressive from like 20 miles away. So yeah, we got some crazy stuff. When they captured the Venezuelan guy, Marudo, or whatever his name is, the soldiers said that there was some kind of sound or energy weapon that made him bleed from the mouth and ears and make him collapse on the ground, and they were incapacitated. And 20 of our soldiers walked in there and grabbed the guy and walked away with him while they were all just doing the floppy chicken on the ground. And hours later, they recovered and weren't damaged. We have some incredible weapons. First was a wave of drones, which would be the next kind of attack on our homeland, if there were to be one. Would be likely drones like they used in the Ukraine, those triangle-shaped ones, the large ones. The counter versions were seen flying down inside the turrets of tanks and blowing the tanks up. Pretty impressive weaponry. But that sound weapon mimics some of the stuff the Nazis kind of were working on in World War II, where they use sound, and if you turn the levels up enough, it can kill or it can incapacitate. So some kind of a weapon. There was video of that, and it was going pow, 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 and it was like a thumping, banging explosion, and I've never heard anything like it before. Here we are crossing the bridge. Yeah, they got the main crane right by the center span, and so I think they're going to cut this thing apart this week, and that might be really interesting to watch. So I'll have to keep monitoring to see if they're ready to start slicing. I think they're going to use cotton torches and cut each section and lift pieces away. I don't know that, but it would make the most amount of sense. All right. We got all my favorite people watching. Thanks for watching. Doug Churchill, Willie Burgoyne, Eminem. And this is the ramp to Pleasant Street. We got lots of people around here. This is the swinging bridge coming up. That in 2021, I went with Finn and went magnet fishing, and I found a 22 revolver and pulled it out of the river, and you were able to see serial numbers on it, and turned it into police, and they kept it for a year. And only when I bothered them about it did they return it. I have it today. It'll never be fired again. It's in poor condition. I'd estimate 20 years underwater. But they said it wasn't stolen, and they had no idea why it was in the river. Typically, and they had rounds in it. You could see the lead. You can't get the rounds out, but typically, if it was stolen, they'd touch all the rounds off and then throw it in the river. Let's see, my favorite spot over here is the Good Hope Church, and there's actually been cars in the parking lot all day. There still is. Yeah. So it's been all week. There ain't been a single vehicle there. All right, we'll go to Dunkin' Donuts parking lot and hang out here. And if I gotta go to the bathroom again, I can go in here. You don't eat right, and you're eating nothing but fast food and oysters out of cans. Yeah, there can be a sudden need. looks like there's 7 people over at O'Donoghue's. Right. It's nice and toasty in here. I can shut the Jeep off for a bit. Thanks for riding with me, guys. It helps with the loneliness. Sometimes you just got to be around people. And, you know, texting people helps alleviate some of that pain when you can't text with the people you really want to. A lot of people have called me a wussy all week just because I've been emotional. I got mad passion for wanting to change policing forever. And yeah, it's kind of a pipe dream, but I've made changes that are a good thing. Police since 2020, October 7th, my first audit. Since then, they were reluctant to draw their firearms in front of me on camera after that. The rusty lantern brandishing a BB gun is what it turned out to be later. It looked like a real Beretta. And I think some of the students and kids that I interviewed had a belief that it was a BB gun. So Patrick Scott, when he cornered the guy in his vehicle, had his hand on his firearm, but I was right behind him. And I know for a fact that because the camera was on him, he felt like he couldn't draw. And, you know, it's not about that. It's about, you know, not drawing on people when there's no need of it. Right? Right? Nobody would have screamed and yelled at him or said anything rude. There was a belief that that guy was armed. You could have drawn your weapon and it wouldn't have been a big deal. Right? But those were the kind of changes that changes the culture of police. When you show up and record and you're diligent and they know you could be around the corner at any time or somebody in their car could be filming them, that plants a seed in their mind that hopefully changes the entire culture of this town. Right? You know, all the rookies, they're getting a lecture, I'm sure, when they join the force. Hey, we got guys around town. You never know who's going to be recording from inside a vehicle, behind some bushes, around a corner. You better do the right thing. And that was part of the culture that me and the wife talked about. And that's one of the wonderful things that's happened. And it's exposed the very few bad apples, the real bad apples in the group. And I believe there are really only 4 or 5. 5-ish is probably the closer to the number that probably shouldn't be doing the job. Too much ego, too much of an alpha male, or too old and set in their ways and have that belief that they're untouchable. And that goes to their head and destroys everything about accountability. And, you know, the town won't stand up and do the right thing and force these guys to bring forth evidence. There's now a belief that the 17-year-old girl hurt by Officer Day was in her first trimester and pregnant. So, I don't know about you guys, but that I find to be extremely offensive. Not that anybody could tell, but you know what I'm saying? You didn't have to go there. You know, you ruined everything. You ruined everybody's lives. The lives of a firefighter who wants to save and help people. Firefighters work with the police, right? You know, the whole thing is just terribly wrong. Right? And anyway, I think that this is going to be the final straw that's going to break the camel's back, and it's going to bust them wide open, and we'll be able to get FOIA requests, and I won't need to do this anymore. I literally won't. There'd be no need. I might go to some spectacular fire or something like that for a newsworthy event, but I'm not going to have to chase the cops. Right? Once that it can be proved that you can go to the town and get misconduct that you've seen or heard about in a good FOIA request, I'm wasting my time, and there's no point. Right? Stay home and work on my own shit. There literally is an end coming. I said this back in July that when I first saw the body camera on Officer Lord when he visited our driveway, and I had the discussion about it. It's a good thing. Now you can feel safe. If somebody accused you of a sexual assault, you have proof that you didn't do that. Right? It goes both ways. Make sure that thing's on, and they assure me that that turns on when they draw their gun, draw their taser. That thing's rolling, and they can't stop it from working. Right? And that's the perfect part about it. That's exactly what I've advocated for 5 years. And they've resisted this entire time because they have those 5 bad apples. Right? Can any of those 5 be saved? Maybe. You know what I mean? You know, I've seen one of them pushing motorcycles out of the road, doing good deeds for people. Right? But then, you know, in Advanced Auto Parts, he threatened Courtney Mickles again and threatened to beat him up right there. You want a rematch? I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, that was misconduct on camera. Shot by a reporter. Right? You know how fired up and mad I'd be if that was one of my people and a female? Yeah. I mean, we've known Johnny Mickles my whole life. Me and Steve all spent time with him. It absolutely would. Hey, Doug. Yeah, it's a pretty boring night. Not much going on. The scanner's been silent. Hey, Jeff. Jeff Reed, my childhood friend. That's awesome, buddy. Yeah, I just kind of did a blog. There's nothing to record. It's a quiet night. The police went lights and siren to Cook's Corner a couple hours ago. And I followed to Cook's Corner and asked the homeless guy on the corner, did the cops pull off at Cook's Corner? He's like, nope. So they likely went off at Bay Bridge to Bay Bridge Trailer Park at New Meadows. And likely it was 2 police cars, lights and sirens. So they went to a domestic. And nobody should go and film that. Right? Everybody's upset. It's the worst day of everybody's lives. And the most horrible thing has happened. Somebody's called 911. And now one of the parties is going to go away in handcuffs. And it sucks for everybody. No matter what happens. It's a big suck pump. Sucks your heart out, your life out, your will to survive. Right? Bottom line is, if you keep your hands to yourself and go and break some dishes or something and go in the other room, then none of that would have to happen. But sometimes people make you crazy, and I understand. I do understand. Right? And I brought this all on myself, and I'm wholly to blame. Right? But I wanted to change the culture of policing after what happened to me in 2020. It hurt me inside. I was afraid to drive home at night. I wasn't kidding when I said that early this week to the mental health liaison. And the only thing that helped me literally was putting the camera to the cops. That was the only way I could feel safe driving my automobile. They're like, oh no, it's Bryce. They were afraid of me showing up, not the other way around. I took my rights back, and I could hold my head high and drive home late at night and not feel like I was going to get ripped out of my vehicle and accosted by pirates. Right? Blew all zeros. I told the officer to his face. I told Adam, I can't drink. I got liver disease. You know? I mean, that's pure passion. I can't drink. Doctor said never again. Don't do it. Half my liver's scarred with cirrhosis. And yeah, you can make it heal, but now I have developed fatty liver disease, and it's a bear to get rid of. It don't want to go away. That fat is leaking into my tissues, and it's coming out in my feet. It's causing the eczema on my feet, and it's painful. It hurts all the time. Right? As we all get old, we all suffer from terrible pains. You know? My other party is bone on bone in one leg, in the knee, and the hip on the other side. It's painful to walk at all. And, that kind of pain makes people lash out. And, the stress and anticipation of going into major surgeries like hip replacement and knee replacement, those are a big deal. I did talk to Steve's wife, and she said the hip replacement pain wasn't bad at all, and don't fear it. And my grandmother, I don't know, can't remember her situation where she what are you asking? Brought what on? Fatty liver disease. There are a lot of factors in that. It's cornstarch is the worst enemy of fatty liver disease. You should avoid all of those products. We suspect that my other party's hip was because of walking, because of the knee has been bad for years. My employer booted her off the health insurance when she scheduled surgery. Suddenly, we had an audit that we had to do within 14 days or you're off the plan, and then you can't sign back up for 10 months. And they would have scheduled it. It had been done already, but she suffered for almost 3 years since that. And now it's terrible pain. And, the fluid is leaking out of her knee, and it's making all the tissue all surrounding it inflamed. Those fluids are supposed to stay in the knee. She has little pellets of her cartilage that are down in her ankle, and when you rub her ankle and stuff, you can feel those pellets all moving around under the skin. And that's the cartilage from her knee. It ground it all up, and it all came out. And yeah, it's terrible pain, I got torn meniscus in my left knee, and club foot in my right leg. And that's why I have handicap tags. I have arthritis in both knees, club foot, eczema, which gives me the sores on my feet, and they're terrible, and it hurts right now. And I have my feet out of my shoes so that they can dry a little bit. Everywhere you go right now, there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, and your feet are going to get wet without some muck boots on. And I got those at work. I can put those on. I got the big, tall rubber boots with steel toes that they supplied me at work. Anyway, yeah, I know it's tough about health. My diet has been restrictive since 2019 when I found out I had hepatitis B infection for years and didn't know it, and that's what caused the cirrhosis in my liver. I had no idea I had it. Summer of 2019, a couple of times I drank three beers, 3 12-ounce beers even, and I was shithoused so bad I had to go lay down and go to bed. Oh, got something going on. 56, so a broken buggy. There's nothing going on. Broke down. Sometimes Sunday nights are more exciting than any other night. And that's why I went on my Facebook and not accountability, is because, there's nothing going on, and I just wanted to talk to my closest people. Thanks for hooking up, Jeff. I know we talked about it, but the Brunswick cops harassed you in 2023 when I could listen to the scanner. You and your old lady at Fat Boys Drive-In, I believe. And I heard that on the scanner, and I heard your name. And that I believe that's what led me to look you up. Jeff Reed visited his Uncle Harry Tisdale that was on the end of the Malay Road in Bodenham. And we learned a lot of life lessons together. A lot about how to deal with people and how not to deal with people and to do the right thing, and all of those wonderful teenager lessons. Thanks, Jeff. You opened my eyes to the world. We had some fun times. I remember working on the Mercedes. Harry wanted us to put a starter in it or take the starter out, and somebody already did. I bought my first car from Harry Tisdale, a 72 Ford Gran Torino 302 automatic. There was a couple little tiny rust holes in the frame, and my Uncle Barney welded those up. And I drove that for several years. It was a good car. It was comfortable. I liked the way the windows rolled down. It was fun. The 302 motors are really good. One of my dear friends, Johnny Mott, has a 302 motor he's had since he was a teenager. And he's retired now, 65. And he's rebuilt it like 6 times. He used it in the skidder once and all kinds of stuff. We all done all different kinds of stuff like that. I built a 67 Firebird 400 convertible. It was my dream car. I talked about this a little while ago. We were watching, I was watching a Facebook marketplace post about a 71 Chevelle body with no motor, no transmission, and the bidding was up over $1,000. And this guy from St. Albans said, I'll trade you this Firebird convertible shell. And the guy's like, nope, don't want it. And I immediately contacted that guy and was like, I'll buy that. How much you want for it? And he's like, I don't know, what do you give me? I was like, $500. And he's like, yep, come and get it. And I borrowed Mike Stacy's truck and trailer and drove to St. Albans and picked it up. And they were ready with a fork truck and put it right on the trailer in about 10 minutes flat. Good memory. That was one of the most exciting things. I got home and ran the vid tag and just about passed out when I figured out what I really bought. Because I was curious because it had standard pedals in it. And the hole was correct for a 4-speed. I'm like, what did I just buy? And the floor was in good shape. Somebody fiberglassed it and put a layer of fiberglass, and it preserved the inside of the floor. I only replaced the torque boxes in the back. The rest of it was good. The arches in the back that goes to the bumper, 1/4 panel was untouched on the car, original. The other one, they'd done a burnout with the positive rear end and struck a pole and knocked the rear end right out, broke the bolts off, and the rear axle would come out of the car. And that's why it was in AOTS, I believe, because this guy said he bought it out of some guy's yard down in Saco, right? And Johnny Mott said there was a 68 car that he took the motor out of in the junkyard that had been crashed, and it looked like the same damage. Oh, we got a traffic stop, guys. 116. I think Hunter is 117. I figured it out. He's the one who deputized me. Just trying to figure out what the number is on the car or tag number issue at this point. 7:30. So what are you all guys doing? You doing anything interesting? Right? I lugged boards as a carpenter for over 30 years. Various jobs. Kennebec Builders. There's a place in Hollowell I worked for 5 or 6 years. And that guy had a partner that lived in the U.S. Virgin Islands on a sailboat, and he came one time and he emptied the coffers of the business and went back to the U.S. Virgin Islands, absconded with all the money out of the joint bank account, fled the company. Well, what brought stuff on was our financial situation, the up-and-coming lawsuit. Most of the officers, 3 or 4 of them, all got promoted. And I took that as a clear sign that the lawyers were convinced that they had me over a barrel, and it was going to be the end of it. And I was going to have to pay the big bill of costs. Town employee told me in 2024 that they'd spent $300,000 defending the police against one old man with a camera. Instead of doing the right thing and training their officers properly, that's what they decided to do, was hire $1 zillion lawyers and fight me over the public records, which were all mutilated no matter what I did. They don't want to listen to me. Oh, he's pro se, so we don't have to give him anything good. We don't have to give him complete records. And it was a matter of pride. Well, pride can get you into trouble, right? Right? I wanted to be one man against the whole town police force, and all the damn lawyers. Because, I read and was fairly well informed. and knowing that it was going to be a long, struggling, hard road, with lots of bumps and hiccups. But I developed a passion to change policing forever. Wow, he's got a Cyclops light going on the side. That's weird. Anyway, the guy's never going to do his traffic stop, I guess. But that all adding up, and the stress of our family and up-and-coming surgeries, and things got out of hand, and I proposed that we do something that would protect our assets, on paper divorce, and that really changed the mood into overdrive. And here I am, and I can't go home and she's suffering alone with nobody there for comfort, in a lot of pain. And me and my arrogance out here trying to keep myself occupied with something to do, have been auditing, going and film this and film that, and it's brought my spirits up. I was really excited about the SAG Sheriff, because I'd been listening to them since Brunswick Encrypted, January 4th of 2024. They flipped the switch after they'd done a couple of preview days where they encrypted for a couple hours and then they'd turn it off. And then on the 4th, they turned it on, and they haven't turned it off since. And it's been encrypted for 2 years. And like I said, I know they can go in there and just flip a switch and stop it from doing that. And it would be open air and everybody could hear. And then I could have, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter. This stuff's going to come to an end pretty soon. All that needed is to get the attention of the higher authorities to come here and force these people to expose authentic public records. And then an old man can put his camera down and stay home. My job will be finished. This has been my 5-year mission. Right? Right? That's why it's called Accountability Now. What happened when I originally, October 7th, gun draw, and the chief lied to my face and said, nope, that ain't what happened, you're a liar. Commander Paul did the same thing, and then they showed me Patrick Scott, overhand flashlight, all 3 officers in the scene. Right? Yeah, the weather is hard on your bones. Yeah, I'm sitting here barefoot, trying to dry my socks out a bit. I got dry ones in there, but I don't want to waste I got 4 pair that are dry, but I can get these ones pretty good. And all you do is go into work and put the big muck boots on, and then I'm going to take another bag with all my shoes and get them in there and dry them, because they're all soaked. I go out to the tire barn at work and then go back into the crib or any of that. One trip out there and they're covered with snow and wet. And, I got 2 pair of steel-toed shoes and a pair of slip-ons that I got for Christmas from M&M. And they've been fantastic. They're so good on my feet, so easy on me with my terrible eczema. Anyway, how it became Accountability Now was originally, it was called Police the Police, Brunswick, Maine. And that page still exists. I mothballed it for a little while. Different things happened. I wanted to do more auditing after October 1st, but I didn't have a scanner then. Right? I didn't buy a scanner until July 4th, 2022. We went and visited Danny Bisson, and we found out who Jolene was, the girl who got the gun pointed at her face. And I absolutely knew after talking to them that I was 100% right. And they were all lying about it and lying to me. And I Googled it. I Googled, what do you do if the police are lying? And it said, you put the camera to them. So after that, I texted with Westridge at the police station on the Facebook Messenger. And I was like, everybody's lying to me. I've had enough of it. I want the damn truth. I'm going to call you all a pile of lying road pirates. And I'm going to put the camera to you like nobody ever has ever before. Right? And I'm sure they chuckled that off, but they were mad about me calling them all liars. And I told them, I'm going to knock the wheels off your miscarriage of justice. And how many officers are going to fall beneath the wheels? Or the carriage? And Westridge blocked me on Facebook Messenger. I'm still blocked to this day. First Amendment violation. The next day, I got a phone call from Commander Paul. He's like, the video's up in the police station. Come down, you can see it. So when I went into the lobby, I said a bunch of stuff in the lobby before I went in. And when I approached, the chief said, you can't go in this room with the camera going. I was like, why? There are police in there, and I can record that. You can't put it at the TV. Nope. There's a statute. I was like, what statute? Nope. Hey, Brian Lozer. Man, nice. You're the man. Thank you so much for watching. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I used to work with him, Kennebec Builders, for 10 years almost. Long time. Oh. Yeah, there ain't nothing going on. And Skylar, yeah, you were featured, you and your boyfriend who got the traffic stop where Nathan Day laid into you guys. That pisses me off. If the radio transmissions weren't mutilated, I'd have been able to come over there and save you guys. Because I've made him pack up and leave without giving people any tickets. They didn't give him any tickets. Yeah. See you on later on Bombay. I still not unclear if you guys, did they impound your vehicle for that? You'll have to tell me at some point. I know that the tickets were wicked expensive, in the $500-600 range, maybe more. That's outrageous, right? For a perfectly safe, beautiful vehicle, right? Fully black car with aftermarket wheels. I'm sure the tire poke was minor, right? Who gets hurt from tire poke? Nobody. There's a slight possibility of a rock being hitting at somebody's windshield, and then they could become a victim. But that's not a crime. It's property damage, and you'd have to take care of it. But, right, that's not any reason to rip people out of their vehicle and tow it away, right? Because you have a 7th Amendment right to own property, and you're the title holder. And if they take it, they're renting it. You can go look up an Avis rental car that got impounded and copy it and just make it your own. And you send the officer who did it a true bill for $200 a day for renting the car. And miraculously, your car will show back up at your home. Nobody's successfully done it yet, but other people have done it in other states. The case law is, you guys should look it up. It's a really interesting case. Dan City Auto versus Tech E-Lines. No, that ain't right. Versus Pelkey. Dan City Auto versus Pelkey out of New Hampshire. The city towed the guy's vehicle out of some parking lot just because it was there. And they figured they could get away with it. And he didn't know where it was, reported it stolen, and they Title 29'd it and sold it. Right? He got the entire Blue Book cost of the vehicle out of the wrecker service. Yeah, pretty neat. It was impounded. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. So was that at Atlantic Coast Towing? That's the first time I've heard Chris allowing something like that. He wouldn't let Macy and Sam get their car back. It was over $1,000 to get their car back. And he lost his job, and they lost their apartment, and they couldn't take the kid to daycare anymore. Right? And they live with me now. All because Officer Day. Right? You don't think I got a passion to make sure he never comes back to work? Of course I do. But he is on permanent suspension at this point, according to the DA, for upending the 17-year-old girl. Anyway, that was Atlantic, and we showed Chris the pictures of the car, and he said to go get the car free of charge. Wow. All right. Well, I'll post that. They deserve a little credit. I've had nothing but bad shit to say about them. And if they treated you right, that's pretty cool. I'll give them a thumbs up for that. Hannaford trailer parked in front of me. Fascinating. Well, that's awesome. That almost makes up for some of the stuff he's done to us. Pretty cool.
County 119. With Kelly for Chris Kelly subject. Caller heard from him this morning, but
So, sounds like a welfare check. Check welfare on that named subject. No kidding. So the road pirate grew a heart and let you guys get your car. And that's a pretty sweet ride he's got, right? I heard it was black with window tint and sweet wheels on it. Right? Put a smile on your face just looking at it, right? But yeah, I know sometimes when I advocate for these people that need help or file a complaint and it gets ripped up. Ooh. And here we are. This is probably the longest Facebook Live I've ever done on my page versus accountability. My longest audit's 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's the advanced auto parts one where the fat guy is in handcuffs for 40 minutes, laying on the ground, writhing in pain and stuff. He was hamming it up. He knew the camera was on him. But also, you know, there's no way he could have run away. You know, with those big, strong policemen all around him. I think 6 or 7 officers showed up eventually. All for some cigarette ash on the seat. That was the reason for getting a drug dog and searching. And then the kicker, right after I left, they went and he wanted to see the taillight that didn't work that they pulled him over for, and the taillight worked. It wasn't out. So they spent 1 hour and 30 minutes at Advanced Auto Parts with the groceries melting in the hot sun. June. There's law enforcement going by. Right there. Beep. He's right on their bumper. Bump, bump, bump. They probably have no idea that was law enforcement right behind them. Yeah. 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 Like I said, I know it's upset my other party that I've been auditing so much, but it keeps my mind and keeps the depression at bay. And I've been able to express myself. And I got to do the phone call with the town because I can never go to the town meetings working second shift. That's generally how you redress your grievances with the city. You know, I went through my Abby King, my selectman, for months and months, and she just went along with whatever the town manager told her and whatever the police chief told her. No. There's no authentic timestamp. Right? If I was the liar, they would have rubbed the timestamp in my face and been like, see, nothing happens when you said something happened. Right? That ain't what they did. You know? They gave me video without timestamp. Then when I complained about that, they gave me one with a fake timestamp. Right? I know it's fake. The font and size of the letters is wrong. It doesn't sound like much, but also it's the beginning of the video. The cars is already stopped. The truck is already stopped for the traffic stop. They're not moving because it'd be wicked hard to fake changing GPS coordinates. The GPS coordinates stayed the same because the vehicle is at rest. You understand? They didn't show the part where they captured the drunk driver's poor driving on camera. Everything else, they did a good job. Right? All they had to do was tell her he's wicked drunk. We have to arrest him and get back in the truck. That's all they had to say. They didn't have to draw a firearm. They didn't have to do any of that. But, you know, I had my El Camino. I put a picture up today. I had my El Camino in 2019, January 17th. And I guess my headlight blew. And I couldn't make it 3 miles home without getting stopped. And when I got out to fix it, the guy pointed a gun at my face. Get back in the vehicle. That was standard practice for them to draw their gun. If you got out of your car at night woe and be unto you, you're getting a gun stuck at you. 100%. I believe that. I've believed it all along. Right? And there's probably tons of people. When I got traffic stop in 94, right after we got here from Florida, I was speeding, but there was a Lincoln Town car that was going faster than me, and they pulled me over in my hot rod, my 71 Le Mans, and I think it was Commander Paul. I got out with my license and my wallet in my hand like you did in Florida, and got on my rear bumper and had my stuff. And he got out and drew his gun on me and made me get back in. Right? We just left Florida, and that's what you had to do. And it was a safety thing. You know, that's what changed the culture of policing in Florida, was there's officers there, made everybody get out. Well, what about the person who's handicapped? You can't make them get out. They can't. Anyway, I know that auditing has consumed my time, my life, and it has been detrimental to my well-being and the well-being of my family and my ability to visit with Steve and family members, and fucking hardly went fishing all summer. It's hard for me to do it when there's no radio transmission. And, you know, my people and my friends and everybody are telling me that they've gone back to their old ways. You know, they're hurting people, putting the cuffs on tight, and we don't find out about it till later. That's their goal. That's what they wanted to do. All that, encrypting the radio, hiring all these lawyers and all that, all just to stop me. Right? And now, you know, they feel like they have free range. And all of it is a responsibility of the chief. Right? There's maxims of law that whoever's in command and doesn't do anything to stop the culture of misconduct and cover-ups, because it's worked for his whole career. I forget who it is. It's another Doug, that Doug Guello or one of those guys. He was in Portland when the chief was a rookie, and the chief beat up 3 juvenile kids, 15 years old, and he cried on the stand in court, and everybody felt bad for him, and they let him have his job again. And he literally told me he's sorry that he didn't remove him from being a police officer for doing that. Right? So you got to understand the psychology of the chief. He's done his whole career. Whenever anybody said, "Oh yeah, your officer did this or did that," he was like, "No, that ain't what happened." And there was nothing anybody could do. There were no cameras in everybody's pocket. It's the lifesaver. And Skylar, if you get stopped by the cops, you need to put your phone on record and put it in the cup holder so you can see the cop. But you don't have to tell him it's doing that. You don't have to tell them it's recording. That way you get the honest and true officer. He's going to operate like he would have if he wasn't on camera. Especially if you're a passenger. You got every right. You don't have to flash the camera in front of his face and be like, blah, 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 I'm recording. No, because then you won't get the authentic officer and how he operates. That's part of my evidence. Is 2 journalists in Boston were filming the police, and they were afraid to run afoul of the wiretap fraud law, right? They were afraid. They didn't actually get a ticket like I have. They didn't get put in handcuffs or any of that stuff, right? They just merely had the fear, and it dampened their ability, infringed upon their rights to the tune of $125,000 for having the feeling that you couldn't record the police in your Fourth Amendment piece around the corner hiding from them. Oh, I've done it with a selfie stick, up over bushes before, up over fences. I laid down on one guy's lawn just off the sidewalk and stuck the camera around the lawn, and some veteran in his pickup truck walked his brakes up and was screaming and yelling at me, "You can't do that." I was like, yes, I can. You're hiding and filming the cops. Right? I didn't want them to know. They were right behind Hannaford. I'm trying to put my socks back on. It's wicked, wicked hard. It's hard when you're old just to put your socks on, especially in the car seat, and I can't get out and step on the ground. Anyway, I don't think the guy was a shoplifter. He just had like mental issues, and they were like performing a welfare check welfare, and success. I got my sock on. I only had to grunt and strain for fucking 10 minutes. And these seats are terribly uncomfortable to sleep in. There's no position where you can actually sleep. So what I've done is I figured out if I move the seat, the driver's seat, all the way forward, as far as it'll go, and tip it forward, and I use the headrest on the back of the back seat in the laid down position, I can completely lay down. There goes the police officer. He's patrolling back and forth, pirate patrol. Patrol without call for service. And guess what that is? That's racketeering, because he has no purpose in doing that. He's not doing that for public safety, to make all the other people safe on the road. He's doing that to line their pockets. Line the city's pockets to pay for themselves. They have performance quotas. That's what they call them. Instead of it being a, they don't call it a quota anymore. It's, but see, what'll happen is, if over 3 months' time or so, if the officer doesn't make any traffic stops, they bring him in the office and talk to him. I got complete copies of the officer's policy. That took me until discovery in court before I could see that. It was eye-opening. These officers are not to talk to the media without permission from the chief or commander. Not even supposed to talk to TV 13, 6, nobody without permission. That's the, forced silence that I was talking about at Cumberland Farms. There was some kind of big to-do at Cumberland Farms last night. Hey, Macy. Eminem. Yeah. Be cool, Bryce. Keep my chin up. Yep. Thanks, Doug. Doug the Bull. You the man. You live out of state, right, Doug? Yeah, bring him on camera. If they make a traffic stop, I will. I'm sure he's I spy with my little eye. Bryce Cantrell sitting across from O'Donoghue's. And the muffler's dragging. Did you hear it? It was a high-end car. The muffler's dragging on the ground. Huh. Hope he makes it. Driving through Brunswick. You can get beat up for that. You get your wheels pulled. Be walking down the road in the snowstorm. right? So the most recent one was it would have been December 5th or 6th, right there at the drive-in where the October 7th one happened. The red truck had a loud muffler, no sticker, and Officer Day impounded that vehicle and left the person crying in the snowbanking. Yeah. They said they had a ride. So be it. But they were sitting there in a slumpty dumpty, in a sad state. And, you know, there's no need of that. They should not be able to impound your vehicle. If it's in any way, shape, or form safe enough that you feel like you could drive it down the road, you should be able to drive away with some tickets. Right? Right? You know what I mean? Morally, ethically, it's wrong. Right? That's your property. You're the title holder. You should not be able to take that. That's why people do that silly sovereign citizen thing and get a dot number and drive like that, because then they can't touch it, or it's a felony theft. Grand theft auto. They can get the cops for it. That's why people do that sovereign citizen bull stuff. Right? I'm going to look into it and try and do it. It'd be kind of interesting. Right? All you need, everybody should have insurance so that if you hit something, the insurance will pay. But you don't need registration or any of that other stuff. You ain't got to register, renew it every year. You ask the Department of Public Safety. I posted it recently, maybe 2 weeks ago. I looked it up. And there is one in the state of Maine. And that's who you go through. And you apply for a dot number. You have to have title in hand. And you put your title in a trust fund. And that's something we all should learn how to do. If you put everything in a trust fund, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. You put your house in a trust fund, and then you can give it to your kids without it costing them as much money. Right? The smart people and the lawyers do that. You can, when you go buy an automobile, tell them you want an alloidial title for the automobile. And that means you're going to put it in your trust and you're going to actually own it. And nobody else is going to be able to take it from you. Kind of interesting stuff. I've studied the law now for 3 years since I started the case. I studied a little bit beforehand, and probably been a little easier to be successful. All right, he's on the welfare check. He's going out. That means he's outside of the car. He's left his pirate ship. But that's a SAG sheriff. And they've been, like, I've been listening for 2 years since the encryption of Brunswick. I switched over to the SAG sheriff 155-0775 on digital. And their digital, same as Brunswick, but they don't encrypt because they're constitutional officers. All right? It's a big distinction that gets overlooked sometimes. More than likely, if I'd have called the sheriff's department, he would have come and calmed the situation down, and nobody had gone to jail. Right?
119. I'm gathering further. Can you call in before you make contact, please?
Right. Just like I said,
yeah, I'll call in a minute. Getting out the door. Nobody's answering though.
Well, apparently he's got a load.
ooh, he's got a firearm.
I've got a caller on the line now. We're reporting that.
Oh, no.
10-4, who's the caller?
So he's on the phone with somebody, and he's got a loaded firearm.
I have somebody on that road with a white Suburban. You know who that is? That's what my complaint.
Oh.
Owen Cressy on the line. I'm trying to
Owen Cressy.
sort things out.
I work with Wendell Cressy.
Father, Jody Kelly. I'll be out with him.
All right. Stay safe, brother. That's a tense situation.
419 County. I couldn't really make out the traffic. Did 105 say he's out with Chris?
Yeah, he's not.
I believe he's out with the father.
Okay. So the father's the guy in the white Suburban, and the other guy is the one in the house with the firearm. And being it's a welfare check, so they didn't say making suicidal statements or anything. But apparently that's the way it is. That's scary. And they haven't asked for rescue yet. Yeah, gets you right on the edge of your seat now, don't it? What's going to happen next? It's the sheriff. I bet you they're going to calm him down, talk him down, and he's going to be safe. Right? Me and the wife were listening to the
105, 119. It was relayed to my callers that he stated he would kill anyone that made contact with him.
Woo! Holy smokes.
419 copy. Did they say when he said this?
Yeah. Oh boy. They're going to swarm that place. They're going to come in mass now. Holy smokes.
Apparently he also pulled a gun on Misty earlier this evening.
Oh man. Oh yeah, we were listening to the Thompson one on the connector where the welfare check had a machete, and the Thompson officer said, "Is that a gun?" just before they shot him. And the guy survived. It was wicked, wicked cold, and Brunswick police wouldn't let me up on the connector, so I drove all the way to Cook's Corner, back around, went over to Topsom, and walked out on the connector. And it was like listening to a steam engine. Looked like I had front end damage. Be wicked careful, guys. Get the save. I believe there's 2 officers on scene. Yep. That could end up being a standoff or something, because he's obviously doesn't want to be taken anywhere, and he's armed. Yeah. Love you guys, everybody. Appreciate your time. It's really starting to snow rain now. Temperature still 32 on the dash. 8:19. I'm gonna have to go to work in here in a little bit. Go clock in. There ain't no snow to scoop up, so I'll be in the break room. Say 56.
119 cutting 1048.
10:28.
Support Wildlife 989, Boston, Norfolk, 989 DMP.
Yep.
It is showing on a blue Chevy Silverado to Christopher Kelly. 41.
Wow, they're going pretty fast. It's 35 right here. Pleasant Street. Let's hopefully we get a conclusion before I cut it off. I'm surprised they haven't had rescue stage. One headlight. But it'll. Yep. Me and the wife were sitting here one night, O'Donoghue's, and 3 cars left here, 2 of them without lights on. Obviously had a few too many to drink. That was at midnight on a Saturday night. And then the welfare check came for a slumped over guy at the wheel at the Lighthouse Laundromat at Cook's Corner. And he was deceased from a drug overdose. Just terrible. When the scanner was live, I hear 2 of those a week. You know, now it's all hidden. Once in a while you can tell that's probably what's happening through rescue, but it's just as well. Rescue is really depressing to listen to. So many people stroking out right now. Definitely worried that those who are vaccinated seem to have more strokes. Definitely seems to be true. Blood clots, strokes. And, you know, you kind of expect it when they're elderly, but, you know, we've heard people stroking out at 30 years old. Just weird. You know, and I've seen national stats where that's true. Where lots of people are having health problems.
From Lynn advising there are multiple firearms inside that residence, approximately 20.
Oh, man. So I've been doing a lot of the heartfelt, saying it all the things that happened, all of these things that have happened. You know, the Hamlin arrest, 2022 December, brandishing the firearm at the, oh, I swear he's on the other side of the road. Yep, he was. Yep. I saw a wrong way driver on Pleasant Street the other day. Yep. Right up over that hill. You never want to be in that left-hand lane when you go up over the hill. Because I've seen a couple times now. Never want to be in that left-hand lane. We've all seen and heard it on the scanner in 2023 and 2022. People turn right there at Main Street. That's how I got here. I'm going to go back the same way. And they drive the whole way, all the way from Main Street right on to Pleasant, like that's normal. I mean, the whole town is set up kind of convoluted if you've never been here before. Right? Where you go around the church. Yeah, there'll be good times ahead. It's kind of a rough patch. Can't be with the people you want to be with. Right? I got no TV to watch other than the small screen. But like I said, as soon as I go to work, we're going to hang out for hours until there's enough snow to plow. All depends on who's there. I got breakfast sandwiches. I can heat those up. I was thinking about pizza, but it might, I can't really have that much bread. Or shouldn't have that much bread. Because they put cornstarch in that, and that's one of those products I got to avoid like the plague. Then intermittent fasting has helped me a lot. At least 16 hours I don't eat a day. And if I cheat, it really packs the weight on and it won't work good. And the longer I fast, if I fast for 24 hours, it's hard, but you really feel good. They recommend that your body should be in a fasted state all the time, right? Hundreds of years ago, you ate every 3 days, you ate a meal for whatever critter you caught and cooked. Whatever stuff you dug up or berries you picked along the way was all you ate. Leaves and twigs and stuff. And that's how your body's supposed to work. You're supposed to eat 3 times a day. And a lot of people realize this once they get over 50, that eating 3 times a day is just making your plumbing work hard. And your body digests that, and you feel slow and sluggish and run down. And fasting can do a lot for you. It gets pretty hard after about 16 hours is the tough spot. But then when you make it to 18 hours, if you stay busy when you start feeling that hunger, that can make a big difference too. And you should put sea salt or Himalayan salt, a pinch of it, in your water, because you are a battery, and that's how you get your energy. Just drinking water. I posted that about the Jerry Reed one, where he recommends that you drink the salted water, because otherwise you're flooding your body, and it takes the salt out of your tissues. So it sounds like they're going to leave him alone, diffuse the situation, right? Just leave him alone. Have everybody go away, right? Instead of making a standoff situation. This is the kind of stuff you hear on the SAGS channel, and it's heartwarming, really. They all want to go home safe and sound. If he wants to sit in there with a firearm, well, I guess we ain't going to violate his Fourth Amendment right and bust the door down and go in there and get shot, right? They're going to leave him in there in his Fourth Amendment peace and use the phone and mental health services, and they're going to try and talk him out of it and calm him down, and that's probably going to work, right? Instead of applying pressure and bringing a bunch of officers and, circle the wagons and, you can literally hear the better policing after I listened to the SAG sheriff. Amazing. Topsom does pretty good, but, they've done some illegal searches, and I've heard them do it. I guess you're going to have that. You're going to have one officer that wants to search every time for the wrong reasons, without evidence. You know, you can't just go on a hunch. It's just not worth it, right? You let that go, and you'll get them next time. If it isn't lawful, don't do it, because it'll all get thrown out anyway. There we go, another bediddle. Missing the headlight, the white Jeep. But yeah, one more thing. I think the sticker thing is a sticky point. Topsum, I know I read it somewhere. They got rid of stickers because it violates your Fourth Amendment right to travel. Right? And the point they made is these modern cars are a disposable car, and to put $1,000 electric windshield back into a car that ain't worth more than $1,000 is stupid. Right? The little crack doesn't matter. The little heated, lighted thing in the corner of the windshield don't work. There's no need to put a $1,000 windshield in that to pass for an inspection. Let them drive it. Right? As long as the brakes work and all the lights work, and any dummy can see if those are working from outside of the vehicle, then let them drive it. Right? If it's really rusty and he hits a bump and the suspension collapses, he's going to be able to pull over to the side of the road or get a tow truck. You know, if it's that rusty, you ain't going to feel comfortable driving it, and it's going to drive all squirrely before it lets go. I read somewhere that for the last 35 or 40 years, there hasn't been a mechanical failure where anybody got hurt because of some kind of mechanical defect. And I think that's telling. I mean, right? Lo and behold, every time we've had issues with the car, you know, wheel bearing falling off or something like that, you know about it and you don't want to drive it no more. Right? I mean, these things are like, you know, at work where we call it run to failure. Some of those things, you just run them until they start making a lot of racket and they ain't working good anymore and the belts are squealing. And it's like, you know what? It's just time to buy a new one. Right? No need to spend $5,000 on an $800 car so you can get an inspection sticker in Maine to drive it for 6 more months when the motor's going to blow up. Right? Don't make any sense. That's just filling somebody else's pocket with your money. Right? Run the car to failure, and when it gets too bad, stop driving it. Buy something else. What's wrong with that? Most people have a little bit of common sense. Right? It's like the drunk driver thing. Most of the drunk drivers I seen caught were crashed. They crashed, and then they found out they were drunk. You know, the officer didn't see them weaving on the road. A lot of them were called in by people. People will call in and be like, that guy's all over the road. Go stop him. Please, you know, he's going to kill somebody. And we all understand that. Right? They should stay at the police station until called. Right? They should come out and walk the beat downtown and meet all the people in town and be personable with the people. It's enforcing these policies that are cruel to all us people, right? Like the poor situation with Skylar, where, you know, she got laid into, and, you know, that guy, it probably made you guys really freaking sad until you got the car back, you know? You know, that's a big deal when it's your only set of wheels and they take it away from you and you're walking around with your 2 kids on the side of the road. God damn it. It's wrong. Right? Sam's Honda was wicked safe, had really good tires on it. The brakes worked great. There was no cracked glass. That was total bullshit. Took their car for no reason. And that's what I'm calling it. You know? Thank God he's gone, and we all rested a lot better knowing that he's suspended and gone, and thank goodness. I just pray that he doesn't go to some other town and destroy other people's lives. They need to do the Brady list here in every state. I thought it was I thought it was federal, and it's not. So there are cities where officers, they could just pack their bags and move around. When they fouled somebody and beat them in custody, like the Garrett Decker thing. I know that Garrett has suffered, because I interviewed him. He suffered for 3 or 4 years as a security guard. He demoted. His life has been ruined just along with the other guy, and just not quite as bad. Nathan Dalton was 4 months in jail because the officers lied and they made 2 of them resign. And we don't know where Kerry Wolongvik went. That guy that came to see me, Chris, and talked to us. That was his sister. And wow, you see the snow on the windows? He couldn't see anything. Bad. All right. I love you all. Missed you so much. Hugs to all my family members. I wish I could be there to do it in person. There will be some good times ahead, and we'll have this all behind us at some point. And we'll know next time the terrible things not to do. When calling 911 is supposed to be help, it ain't help. It's lining the state's pockets with money. How does that help? State corporation don't deserve any money because something like that happened. Right? They're not even giving the money to the victim who suffered or the other people who suffered. What's the point in that? Right? Those are the kind of things we got to change. And we all can. Change the way things are. Change the way things are. We all need to stand up and go and tell our higher-ups in the state that we don't want things to work like this anymore. Right? The city doesn't need to impound vehicles and steal people and leave them on the side of the road. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. It's corruption. And that shit needs to end. You know? If it has a gross... That's why it reads on the statute. Gross vehicle violation. You know, Baldini tire ready to pop. Yeah, that pop, you could kill somebody. You could hurt somebody else. I understand. Everybody understands that. Right? Driving around with one wheel for a brake. Right? Do that in the rain, and you're going to go roundy round in circles. And take out 10 people. Right? The thing ain't got no brakes. Don't drive it. All right, that's said enough. Thanks for listening. Y'all made me feel like you're in the room with me. Yeah, you know, it's lonely. And that's why I've been driving around and auditing. Keeps my mind off of being so lonely. And, you know, I regret some of the things I've said. A lot of it just blurts out without a thought in the world. Some of the things I say, my mouth runneth over. Anyway, I gotta go to work. I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for listening to me. Bryce Teetotaler. And I'm out of here.